And welcome to the Big Idea to Bestseller podcast. We have the one and only Ona Carino in the house today. Ona, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Jake? Thank you.
I'm pumped to have you here. I mean, you are a newly best-selling author of the book Between the Stitches. And I just want to start this off by saying I'm proud of you. I know that this was a process for you. I know that it took a lot of effort, intention, energy, but you did the damn thing and you did it really well. So welcome again, and let's dig in.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
So let's talk about this, right? Your book is Between the Stitches. And for everyone that's listening, can you just tell people like what made you want to write this and what's it all about?
Yes. I wish I had a simple answer as to why I wanted to write this, but the honest truth is I don't. I unfortunately lost my husband 4.5 years ago. And, it's been numerous people that I've met along my healing journey, for lack of better terms, that were my encouragers to write a book. But just, when you hear the words, you should write a book, you should share more about what you're doing with others. And you hear that from multiple different people in multiple different situations, it kind of starts to swirl around in your head. And then it's those thoughts started swirling around in my own head, like, oh, maybe I should write a book. I don't even know what that's all about, but I'll check it out. And one of my girlfriends wrote a book. And so I asked her, I said, hey, you wrote a book. How did you do it? And then she shared how she did it with me. And I was like, you know what? My goal for 2025 is to write a book.
Yeah. And you
And
did it.
I did it. I did
You
it.
know, it's always interesting to me because everyone has their own reason for what is the trigger to make them want to do it. Because a lot of us have the thought of, oh, I should write a book. Someone's telling me I should write a book, but there's something that often like puts you over the top, right? And so I'm curious for you, once you had decided, I'm going to write a book in 2025, okay? I'm sure there was a next wave of emotions that came of like, holy shit, I'm doing this. I said I was going to do this. What the heck do I do now? So, talk me through what were those early emotions that you had when you actually committed to writing this book?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is fear of failure. I mean, I was terrified. I'm an algebra teacher. I have no business trying to make words make sense. I try to make math make sense. This is not my thing. So definitely I was scared. I was scared of the unknowns because I did not understand how you go from having the thought of I want to write a book to actually having a book in your hand that has you as myself as the author. So it was just, a lot of fear of failure and then fear of the unknowns of what it was going to look like. And if I'm being completely honest, I was also scared that I wasn't going to have the time to do
Mm,
it.
yeah, yeah. What, one of the things that you talk about in your book is this idea around unexpected signs, symbols, trusting your intuition. How in your life over the last 5, 10, 15 years have you really stepped into this and really started to learn this, especially in the more recent years?
It's naturally happened, but I don't realize it while it's happening. It's when I look back that I guess maybe my stubbornness comes into play. I think back to when I was 19 years old and I told my parents I was in a bad car accident and I was very grateful to be alive. And I came back to my parents' house and there was some mail sitting for me on my dresser. And I told my parents, I said, "Oh, by the way, in January I'm moving to Arizona." And they're like, "What? No, you're not." And I just had this intuition like, I need to get out there. I need
Yeah.
to do it. I need to go. Life's too short. And, in hindsight, I was following my intuition. But at the ripe age of 19, I was being a brat that wanted to get out of the cold weather and live with palm trees. Now, fast forward about 30 years, and my intuitions now it's the same. I make the decision, sometimes with impulsivity, like, or impulsivity, like writing a book. um, and then I get the signs after I've made the decision. And
Mm.
so for me, the signs that I get after my decisions are kind of the what's the word I'm thinking of? Like like the acknowledgement, the
Yeah.
approval. It's the approval,
Yeah.
like, okay, I approve of that choice you made, Ona. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think it's my late husband, but before he died and I would do things, I think it's just the universe being like, you boldly made a choice and I'm okay with it. So here's your sign.
Okay, this is really interesting, right? And you mentioned now you kind of think it's your husband, right? How how much do you trust versus analyze before making a decision?
Oh, I would say, hmm, 90% trust and 10% analyze.
Mm. What causes that? Tell me more.
Now or before I was a widow?
Now.
Now, life's too short. If you have a feeling and you have just even a little bit of tug towards something that might be a little different, or even if others think it's way out there, but if your heart is tugging you in that direction, you have to go for it, because I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? There's like, life can just be way too short to sit there and wonder, oh, I want, if I would have done that, I wonder how much it would be different,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it reminds me of this quote that I really love, or this kind of like philosophy is like a life of oh wells is better than a life of what ifs. Right?
Yes.
Because that kind of like goes hand in hand with that is if you just think about doing all these things, you're never fully living. And it's always what if this happens? What if this goes bad? What if this goes right? But when you do these things and you kind of live with that motto that you're talking about, if it doesn't go well, oh well, at least I tried, you
At
know?
least I tried. Yep.
And so I think that's really, really powerful. Over the last 4.5, 5 years, what are some of the things in your life that you would say have, along with this philosophy, what are some of the things that you've really learned about yourself that has helped you over these last few years?
I've learned that I operate much better when I'm living in the present moment
And how do you live in the
instead of,
present moment?
how do I do that?
Yeah,
Oh, geez, it's a lot of work. Some might say that I brush things under the rug that I don't want to deal with right now,
sure.
but in reality, I can't worry about things that might happen tomorrow or next month or next year, because you don't have any control over that. You have no control over what can happen. So I have to constantly remind myself, like, what is in front of you right now that needs your focus and needs your energy and wants your energy, I mean, so it's I guess a mind over matter,
Yeah.
but I can easily fall into the trap of not being present due to the past as well.
Mm.
And that's something I really have to work on. Like, if things get even a little haywire in my life, or something happens to one of the kids, like they make a bad choice, I easily can go back to, gosh, that probably wouldn't have happened if their dad was still alive.
Mm.
Or I wouldn't be in this situation if Jeff didn't die and I wasn't a widow. So then I really got to dig myself out of that and be like, well, he is dead and you are a widow. So how are you going to face what's in front of you right now? Because you can't change the past.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh, I have to be grateful of my past, and I have to be grateful that I've learned all these lessons and bring them to the present day.
Mm.
It's a
Mm.
challenge, Jake. Sometimes daily, but thankfully not every day is a challenge. But
Oh, it's a huge challenge. It's a huge
yep.
challenge, right? There's so many of us that allow the past to dictate our current actions, right? And then there's people that allow the future to dictate our present actions. And it's very difficult, right? Like that's why being present, no matter what backgrounds we all have, is one of the most challenging things ever, right? Um,
Yep.
and so I want to talk though about something that is very recent past, but also very much part of your current present, which is you launched your freaking book.
I
Okay.
did.
And you did this. And I know leading up to it, there were all types of emotions coming up beforehand. And then I remember after you had your official launch party, you texted me you could do it all over again. So I want you to go back to that time when you launched this book. Okay. What were the emotions leading up to it? And then what did you do and how did you feel for your actual launch?
Well, the emotions leading up to it, which, by the way, Jake, I was not fully impressed with your replies to me. You were like celebrating that I was freaking out. You're like, this is
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
launch is all about. If
Yeah.
you
Okay.
weren't feeling this way, I'd be worried. And I'm like,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
No, I'm freaking out, Jake.
Yeah, so I'm going to address this here so that everyone can also hear this. If you are not nervous or stressed or slightly panicking for your first book launch, it might be a sign to me as the guy who's helping you do this that you're not doing enough or that you're not really getting ready to put this out there, right? Because putting a book out into the world, it's scary and awesome.
Very.
And the spectrum of emotions, okay? Every time I release a book, the spectrum of emotions goes from panic to angst to excitement to worry to, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever, to, I can't believe it's over, to what do I do next, to holy smokes. And you have every single one of these. So when people aren't having like a ton of emotions around that launch, and typically the emotions that are shared with me and our team are often the ones of panic and worry because they're like, what if this goes wrong? What is this link? What is this? How many books do I need to buy? Are people actually going to buy them? All of these questions come up all of the time. And so when I respond to you, I'm like, yes, you have these emotions, you care, you're passionate. It's going to be amazing when you actually do this thing. And it just happens. So I want to address that to you, but also to people when they release a book that it is very normal to be in a state of holy smokes, what's going on? Because no matter how much you prepare for this, there's always going to be things that don't go according to plan. There are always going to be things that are either way above or way below what in your mind you've perceived as the norm. And so it's a really beautiful experience that is so personal to every single person who gets to launch a book. So you were panicking, you're freaking out. I was telling you, celebrate this. This is amazing, right? Getting you ready and also guiding you through it. And so talk to me about that launch day, that launch weekend, kind of how'd that go?
The launch weekend was absolutely amazing. It really was. Leading up to it, though, was not. But the actual day, I was excited. I couldn't wait to be surrounded by my favorite people that I handpicked to be there. And but then, I think it was you. Yeah, it was you. A couple days before the launch party, you asked me about my speech, and I'm like, speech? Speech? People are just gonna come buy my book. They're like, no, 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 no. You need a speech. And I'm like, what? So then I had to put together a speech, and then I was freaking out about that. I'm like, I'm not gonna speak to these people. But then I was like, wait, no, these are my people. And like the room was filled with people that had encouraged me either to write the book, period, or just once they knew I was writing a book, they've encouraged me and they've asked me questions the past 10 months. How's your book going? Do you have a cover yet? Oh my gosh, let me see. So then it turned into, wait a second, this party is actually it's not just for me, it's for them too. It's a way to thank everybody in this room for
Mm.
encouraging me for the past 10 months to get this book out. So then and then I was excited, and then I got overwhelmed with gratitude and all those other fancy, you know, good feels. And then when the party was over, I'm like, wait, no, everyone come back. I want to do it again.
Yes, yes. And congratulations on all that. I mean, not only did you get to experience that, which is now going to be a memory for the rest of your life. I still remember exactly what happened when I released my first book, and I can go back to that day. And I can remember the feelings I had and what it was like, as well, seeing my book top the bestseller charts which is what your book did as well, right? And it just a surreal moment, right? You put in all this time, energy, and effort into it, and then all of a sudden, boom, like it happens. And you're like, wait, what is going on right now? I can't believe this is actually is my reality now, but you did it. And so, the coolest thing about this too is knowing that you had such a great feeling right there. Now you can do this as many times as you want. So sometimes I'll tell people with not write as many books as you want necessarily,
Like, wait
but
a second.
in terms of like that feeling of being around the people who supported you and being around these people is you can, not saying that you specifically want to do this, but you can go on mini book tours around the country and visit places and go to vacations and go to local bookstores and have your book be presented there. And there's so many fun ways to relive and to re-experience that same emotion as you navigate all the beauty that comes now from this book, as so many people are going to be inspired, as we've already seen from early reviews. People are really inspired by this book and really appreciating, how real you were throughout this entire thing. And so what I want to kind of do is I want to really dig into a few of these things from you about this book. And so for somebody that might be experiencing some form of loss, like what would you tell them? Where would you tell them to begin? What would you tell them to do? What would you say to them to maybe make it not so bad?
Okay, well, I would tell them that it's a very slow progress and a long journey to get to feel better. But I would remind them that, it's one day at a time. It's one day at a time, and start documenting the moments that make you feel just a little bit lighter. I mean, jot them down in a notebook or make yourself a little, video note or a audio note in your phone.
Mm,
Like, oh my gosh, for this one moment, I actually felt a little lighter today. And just remind yourself of where you were, who were you with, what did you see? Is it even something maybe you ate? I mean, we had like if you've been through loss, like some of us have, or even a big life change, doesn't have to be loss, a big life change, and like all of a sudden your life is flipped upside down. You don't know how you're going to get through the fog. Everything is dark. You have to start small and just start recognizing the little tiny moments when it's not so dark.
mm,
And with time, as like this book, I mean, this book is filled with those little moments that at the time I mean, I didn't know that 4 years down the road, this little moment was going to be so pivotal in my healing, in my being able to share that with others.
mm.
Because, yeah, so, and I would just want to give that person a big hug because it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. But as I said in my speech at the launch party, I was like, if somebody would have gifted me a book like mine in the first year after losing Jeff, like I would have thought this was like one of my friends because
Mm.
they were like real life examples of a real person.
Yeah.
Like trust me, I have like a library full of grief books, but some of them were so thick, so heavy, so like educationally grief told. And it
Right.
was like, I wanted a friend that understood, that could, I guess, take my hand and like show me an example,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And,
So
and
I'm hoping that's what this book does. I'm hoping it's like, okay, if Ona can do that or feel that or think of that situation in that way and look where she is now, like I can do it too.
totally. I think that's such a beautiful way that you did this book because a lot of times when people are reading any type of books, but especially when there's so much emotion involved, the last thing people want to do is be talked down to or talked at, right? We don't want to hear, oh, the science says this, the data says this. You're in an emotional state. You're not in your logical state, right? You want to know like, oh my gosh, this is what just I experienced something similar. Take what you will. right? And it may be completely relevant and it may not be relevant, but the last thing I'm going to do is just shove this down your throat and try to make you feel a certain way and think a certain way when you're experiencing something very, very difficult and emotional
and personal.
and personal.
I mean, no two people are the same, and no two people are going to handle their loss the same
Yep.
or their healing the same either. They're just, we're not, we're human, we're uniquely beautiful. I mean, yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And as you look ahead, right, you talked about finding some light in the dark, right? And you talked about the audio notes, the video notes, you talked about maybe jotting these things down. Sometimes when we're in the toughest times of our lives, the last thing we're thinking of is like, oh, let me document this moment. So how in those moments can we like get to the place where we'll actually do that action? Because like you just said, it does help. And looking back, this would have been the book that you wish someone would have given to you because it would have helped you get there and it would have helped make it a little bit better because you would have had a friend, right? So for someone who needs a friend in you right now, like how can you help them actually do the thing that will help just a little bit?
honestly, ask somebody to help you. And that's what I did. One of my girlfriends who I write about in the book, her name's Carrie. And every night she would text me a question about my day. And, but her and I talked about that. We got like through my conversations with her of when would just cry and cry and cry. And how am I going to get through this? I mean, she was the one that was like, I got to find a way to help you. I got to find a way to help you. So I would honestly use your people. Use your
Mm,
people. If that's something that somebody is like, I want to do that. But yes, how am I going to remember to do that? Reach out to the people that matter most to you and be like, hey, can you help me out? Like once a day, can you send me a text or call me and simply ask me
mm,
what today had you feel a moment of lightness?
yeah.
And then they can document for you. And then what would be amazing is like after a month of that to go back and share because you just reply to that person. Then it's like you're sharing, but you're not responsible for it because God knows we don't need another thing on our plates when we're trying to heal. Like
Right.
we don't.
Right.
So, but then like in a month down the road, if you could like you and that person got together and like went through all the
Oh,
moments for the past month that you felt light. I mean, how magical would that? I mean, it gives me goosebumps. Like I didn't do that, but like I can imagine we
yeah.
did do that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
over here being like, I'm just like going off into a whole thing. So let me
Yeah.
let me ask a question on the flip side of all this, right? Is like, let's say someone close to you, right? Your friend Carrie did an unbelievable job with you and asking these questions. If you're on the other side and someone that you love is going through loss and grief, how can you proactively but supportively ask them what they want? Because sometimes the last thing someone wants is someone asking them more and more questions, right? So how do you respectfully do this to appreciate their process, but also not just send them money to buy food or whatever, right? Like, because I think what you're saying here, like, I would know I would appreciate the heck out of that. Someone checking in and really just helping me stay and see some type of light in the darkness. Like that's such a beautiful thing that you just shared. But from the other side, how if someone is going through it, how can we ask that question or start that conversation to help them based on where they're at without making it feel like it's something else they have to do?
No, see, that's tough. It's tough. Because there's no right answer. Because like we said earlier, we're all so unique. And not everybody's going to want to share. And honestly, when you're in such darkness, you really don't know what it is you need. So, I mean, to answer it, gosh, I would say just don't forget about your people.
Mm,
Like keep checking in. Hey, I'm running to the grocery store. Can I drop you off a bag of apples? I mean, just ask like it has to be like simple questions that don't require a lot of thought from
yeah,
the person like myself that's grieving.
yeah.
And I think just with over time, the person that is dealing with the loss and is dealing with the darkness, over time they're going to, I don't want to say latch on, but that's what's coming to my mind. So I'm going to
Sure.
say they're going to latch on to the people that they know are going to be beneficial. And you know what? Sometimes that might not be
Mm,
you. It might not be, and that's okay.
it's
Like
okay.
some of my
Yeah.
closest friends, like that if the day before Jeff died, I'd be like, these are my closest friends right here. Those weren't necessarily the closest friends during my healing. Like
Mm,
I talk about in my book, like my friend Carrie, I talked to her maybe once every few months when Jeff was alive. We live 45 minutes away from each other. We catch up randomly.
yeah.
But then after he died, she was that person.
Mm,
And it was the connection that we made during that time in our lives. So I guess what I'm also going to say is if you are the person that is work trying to help somebody in a season of loss, don't take it personal
yeah.
if you're not the person that they latch onto.
Yeah. That
Like you
that's
can't. But
that's
don't, I mean,
huge.
don't forget about them, but don't take it personal
Yeah.
because it's a very, and I don't want to use the word intimate because that sounds really weird, but almost like a higher level attachment that you will begin to have with your people
Yeah.
that are with you through your season of loss.
Totally. Totally. I mean,
It's like you
yeah,
build different relationships
a hundred
during these
percent.
times.
And I think like as I'm just hearing you talk about all this, the checking in is what you can control as the other person, right? And it's not your job to make sure that the person who's going through everything is responding, right? Let them have the choice to and when they respond, because then you can just do your part of checking in, knowing that, hey, I'm checking in, this is how I can support you right now. But then also letting them, they'll either latch on or they won't latch on. They may respond, they may not respond. And then don't take it personally, which is what you're saying, right? And if I were to sum up that's kind of how I'm interpreting what it is that you're saying around this, which can allow your people to support you without pressure, and it can allow you to go through your healing process and your journey without the pressure of other people putting things on you as well, which is so important. Is you can feel free but also know that they're there when you need them, which is such a great thing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it
So
is.
as we get ready to wrap up here, I think you did such an amazing job with this book, and I encourage everybody, grab your copy of Between the Stitches, Amazon best-selling book, multiple categories. But Ona, as we kind of wrap up here, right? I would love for you to share just a little bit of your favorite moment through the process or your favorite moment in the book that you talk about. That now looking back on it, and maybe there's nothing that comes to mind right away, but maybe there's something super specific. There's a moment in the book that you want to leave our readers with so that then they can, read it in action and read the rest of your experience.
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Ew, my gosh. I mean, as silly as it sounds, the dedication page and the acknowledgments page really, though I just remember those so vividly because I remember thinking, why is it taking so much work to get these pages done? I've written 100+ pages of content of real true story, like real life. And I'm over here like, oh, I can't get my acknowledgments page done or my dedication page done. So I would say those, but then there's one story and it's about a bloody heart. And honestly, the reason that it sticks out most to me is my writing coach. Can I say her name?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
My writing coach, Miriam, was and is amazing. Like her and I, we really kicked it off. I enjoyed all my time with her. And when she came across my story of the bloody heart, it struck her. It just
Mm,
like, wow, like this is such an amazing example of finding light in darkness.
Mm.
And just throughout our time working together, she continued to bring that story back, And I came across the picture that goes with that story. I know my book doesn't have any pictures, but there's an actual picture of that bloody heart. And I took a picture, Miriam, and I emailed it to her. And she's like, oh my, like it just, I could like see her smile through the email,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, so that for me, I guess, is a big moment in the book, just because that
Yeah.
was my first experience with somebody that she didn't know me. And then taking a piece of my story and it touched her, it affected her, and so that's, it was my first little, wow, like people are going to read this book that don't know me at all. And that's wild to me.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting and it's wild.
It is a crazy thing when people you don't know start reading your book and reaching out to you, and you're like, what? How did this happen? Like, I just shared my
Yes.
story, and now you have people from different parts of the world finding your book, and then they'll reach out to me like, oh my gosh. So I want that to happen for you. I want more and more people to read your story. Like I said, I know you put a lot of effort into it, and it shows. And so for anyone that's interested in grabbing a copy of the book or connecting with you, how do we go about doing that?
Well, my book is available on Amazon. So Between the Stitches. And my book has its own little Instagram page. I created it just for this little book. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the page yet, but I have some ideas
Okay.
of what I want to do with the page and the book and some dialogue. So we'll see. I'm brainstorming on that. That'll probably be again another impulsive decision. So just be like, here I am, and here's what we're doing.
Yep.
And so it has an Instagram page. It's Between the Stitches 2025. And then I have an email address, Between the Stitches at Yahoo.
Awesome. Awesome.
And yeah, that's all I have right now, because
Great.
I'm just little old me that wrote a book. There's no business behind this. There's no, you know,
You did
I'm
it.
just an author.
You are. You are an author, and you're a best-selling author at that as well. So,
I
you know,
am.
I appreciate you coming on, and for everyone, we'll link all the links down below, but definitely get a copy of Between the Stitches. And I want to leave everybody with a challenge today. There were so many great nuggets here and so many practical things and emotional things that were shared. But one thing that I want to challenge you to do right after you press end on this episode is I want you to ask yourself the question, what's one thing today so far that's brought me a little bit of light? And whether you're struggling or you're in a great place, it doesn't matter. Ask yourself that question. And you can share that answer. You can keep it to yourself, but just know we're here for you. We're rooting for you, and we appreciate you. So thanks for tuning in. And Ona, thank you so much for being on the show. Of
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, Jake.
course.